Hey guys, today we're going to talk about some more CAMETV rigs. We've got some cages here and the Sony A7s we've already covered, so if you haven't seen that video you can check out the blog and look at the overview on the Sony A7s cage. But today we're going to talk about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cage, the cage for the GH3 or GH4 cameras, and DSLR cameras like the Canon 5D Mark III. So there's a cage for that. And then we're going to get into some other accessories, rails, shoulder pads, follow focuses, lens supports, MatteBoxes, V-mounts. There's a lot of accessories that Came offers, and they sent a bunch of these products over just to kind of give you an overview of what it is they have and how you kind of put it together and how it works with some of these rigs. All right, so we talked about the Sony A7s here, so I'm just going to set that one aside. And then we're going to just take a closer look at the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, the Panasonic GH3, GH4, and the Canon 5D Mark III. So anyways, let's start with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. The cage wraps around the handle here, so you kind of still get that hand grip feel. There's a ton of mounts that go all the way across. You still have full access to all of the buttons on top, full access to, you know, the screen and all the menus over here, and your battery door flips wide open. You do notice that this kind of stands down a little bit lower, and that's really because these doors on these cameras have to swing all the way open, and if this was any higher it would conflict with those doors. So your rails sit over here. There's a quick release that takes the rail adapter off, so you don't have to have the rails. You can actually mount your QR plate to the bottom of this dovetail right here, and then the top handle is just one handle, one screw, and then the entire top handle comes off. And so you could see how small or how easy it is to break the cage down when you have to travel. And then if you have to set it back up, you just put the handle back on, tighten this up, and slide the rail mount, tighten that up, and you have your full cage ready to go. There is a bunch of locks here, so these thumb knobs can clamp down all of the ports on the side of the Blackmagic, so for your audio and your HDMI, etc. So all that stuff is accessible there. So that's a kind of a simple look. The top handle here has mounts on each side as well as on the top, and yeah, it's there's tons of mounting points. You're not going to run out. Even the base of this rod adapter here has tons of 1/4x20 threads, so you can even get some friction arms coming out of the side over here. So you're not going to run out of mounting options with these cages here. So that's the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema. Now the GH4, the top handle, there's a screw that comes out and it slides out of this cold shoe over here. But you notice the handle kind of looks like the ones that go with the C100, C300. There's a mount right here at the tip, another cold shoe, and then mounts here on the top, as well as 1/4x20 on the side and on this side as well. So lots of mounting options with just the handle itself. And similar to the other cages, it's just one little knob right here in the back. Takes the base part out, and you can again still mount your QR plate to the bottom of this, so you don't have to use the rod adapter. You can just use a cage just like this. Mounting options here at the top, HDMI lock here at the side, so this is removable. You could swing your LCD all the way open, and you could swivel this if you don't have the HDMI lock. But once you have an HDMI cable here, you're not going to be able to swivel the LCD, but that's typical with every cage, because once you have a cable here, your LCD is going to collide with that. So if you're not using the HDMI lock or HDMI cable, then you'll be able to open this up and you'll be able to articulate your LCD. So really nice cage. There are some slots up here, so if you want to put a strap, a camera strap, you could put one up here as well. Again, full access to your card slots, battery doors, everything just goes on. Just one screw mounts the camera in place. The front face here that goes over the front of the camera prevents it from twisting while it's inside of the cage, so that's kind of like an anti-twist front face lock there. So that's that. Now you'll notice that on all of these cages here, they're using some high quality materials, and even these little knobs here that you'll find everywhere on these cages, they actually can, after you tighten them down, you can kind of pull them out so they're spring loaded and reposition them. So knobs like this actually cost a few bucks. So they're not like the cheaper knobs where once you tighten them down, the knob position is stuck where it is. And sometimes that gets in the way. So you'll also notice here that these two are fairly close to each other. But as I said, once you tighten it down, you can actually pull it away from the body and then reposition the knob, and then you know, the spring loads it back down, so you can reposition the knob without loosening or tightening the knob. So these things are actually quite expensive if you try to buy them on your own. So they are putting some good stuff on here. The machine quality is good, the finish is good, looks really nice. So yeah, good quality stuff. Anyways, let's go on to the Canon 5D Mark III here. Now this cage is for the Canon, but it probably works with a bunch of other DSLRs. To get the camera in and out, you don't even need a tool. There's a thumb knob down here. You loosen this up and the camera body just comes right out. On the side here, you have a couple of mounting options. Over here, you have a HDMI kind of lock that can be adjusted to fit different camera bodies. And then once you tighten this down, so you basically line up this slot here with your cable, and then you'll turn this knob over here, and what that will do is it'll tighten up in the middle, and then in this slot will clamp down the cables. So that's the HDMI lock over there. And then over here it's kind of opened, so you can open up your battery door. Full access to all the top menus, so I can get my hand up here. So this is a bigger cage, battery door once again. This bottom part here, this rail mount, does not come off of this cage. But for easier access, you could remove the entire top piece here. So let me loosen this up. So there's two clamps here on the side, and you can either slide this forward or backwards, and you can remove the entire thing and give you access to the cage. So you could take this apart when you need to and get in there. So let me put this back. Now you'll notice that the top handle over here can be removed with one single thumb knob, and then you just slide it out towards the front. This is not a standard shoe, so you're not going to add any type of hot shoe, cold shoe accessory here. This is designed specifically for the top handle to slide in, and once you slide it in, you drop this thumb knob here at the top, lock it down, and then that is secure. There's a rod mount here at the top, so you could loosen this up, take these rods out, add some different rods. So you can, a lot of people add accessories to the top as well as to the bottom, so you have that option here. You do notice that there are some round rods here on the side. These are actually 15 mil, so you can add rods here to the front as well as to the back if you wanted to. So you just screw that in. All of these rods are from CAMETV, so you can see I've screwed it in here on the back, I've screwed it in here on the front. You could do that on both sides if you wanted to, say, mount a monitor here up at the top or mount something else over here, so you don't have to use the rod mount in the center. So that gives you a lot of options. I'm not sure if you could tell, but inside of the cage here, there are some steel inserts. So aside from machining from the aluminum, they actually have steel inserts in all of the threads. So that's going to make the threads a lot stronger and less likely to strip out when you're torquing things down on this particular cage here. So all steel inserts going all the way around. So really nice cage if you're into the larger cameras, the DSLRs, Canons, Nikons, some of the larger Sonys. This again is for the Panasonic, which will work perfectly for GH3, GH4. We have the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera here, very specific. And then we have the Sony A7s, which I reviewed earlier, and you can kind of see some of that in another video. So right now we're going to dive into some of the accessories and how these are just foundations of where you could start with your camera and adding accessories, but you could really build on all of these things using the rod-based adapter. So let me get some accessories on the table, and then I'll kind of walk you through some of that. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is adding rods to your rig, which will allow you to build up on other accessories. So we're going to take the Sony A7s cage here with the rod adapter. Now you notice all of the other cages have the same rod adapter. So all the accessories that I'm going to show you here are compatible with each one of these cages. and is often sold with the cages as part of the bundle. Anyways, we're just going to take a pair of 15mm rods. Now you can use any rod that you want, but these come from CAMETV. They are just metal rods. So we're going to just tighten these up. All right, so there you go. We've got the 15mm rods attached to the bottom. So one of the first things most people want to do is add a shoulder pad. So this is the shoulder pad that comes from CAMETV, and it is a very dense kind of foam material, but it's textured kind of like a leather texture to it. It's not real leather. It's actually like a very, very dense foam with almost a vinyl exterior feel, and it's patterned to be sort of like leather. But it's a padded shoulder pad here. It doesn't fold, doesn't articulate, just mounts directly to your rig. And then what we're going to take a look at here is the handles from CAMETV. This is pretty cool little kit, very sturdy, very strong, and I'm showing it to you in pieces here because this is what it breaks down to when you want to fit it in your bag. Once it's assembled, it takes up a good amount of area, so when you're traveling, you probably want to break it down to this. So the first part is the middle part over here. Now it's weird, but there are some mounting threads here at the top, so you can add some accessories, but we're going to just slide this over the front because this is where our front handles are going to go. Screws on just like that. And then we have on each side here, we have rosettes that lock in place. So we're just going to tighten this one up here, over here. All right, so we have the middle section here, and then we have these angled sections with rosettes here, so we can change the angle of this. You don't have to use these, but this will give you longer handles, which will mean less fatigue because you don't have to bring your hands as high up. But you could mount the handles directly to the middle part if you just want to run it really short. But this middle piece here will give you a lot more articulation. So now we're going to mount the handles here on the side. Again, the handles have rosettes built in. So once we lock them down, it doesn't take a lot of force to tighten them up, and they won't slip. It's just got these solid rosettes here on the side, lots of teeth, so they won't slip under any pressure. All right, there you go. This started out with just a cage. We added the adapter at the bottom, the 15mm rod adapter. We got the 15mm rods, a shoulder pad, and the handles. So now we have ourselves a really nice shoulder rig, all put together with the CAMETV accessories. So we'll expand on this a little bit further. We're going to add a follow focus. So this follow focus over here is made by CAMETV. So as you can see, it has a arm kind of in the middle here. We'll loosen this up, and that allows you to kind of swing this around and get the follow focus up at different heights, at different angles, which allow you to attach to larger diameter, smaller lenses. So you get a lot of articulation there because of this arm, and then you just lock this down in place when you want to lock it down. In the middle here, you have this knob that you would loosen, which allows you to slide this left and right. So if you have big lenses or small lenses, you can get the follow focus closer to that lens. You'll notice that the rails to mount will just drop in over here. So you don't have to pull your handles off if you want to put your follow focus on and off. So that's really handy. This is kind of those quick clamp systems. And the gear here on the follow focus itself is removable, and you can rotate it to the other side if you're using longer lenses, or to the back side if you're using shorter lenses. As well, you can mount this either to your left hand or to your right hand, so it's really up to you. On the follow focus itself, there's a marking indicator here at the bottom, and they also have some hard stops. So what you would do is you would loosen these little knobs here on the side, and you can adjust them to where you want. So when you rotate this, it will hit the hard stop at the bottom, and that will be your A point, and then you can do a second one, so you can have an A and B point, so you go back and forth between your focus points, and you'll nail your focus every time. So anyways, yeah, that will give you some hard stops, A and B hard stops, because you can adjust the 2 different points here. And then the marking disc over here, it does come off if you have to clean it. So it just pulls off straight. There are magnets that hold it in place. So there's your marking disc. So if you need to take it off, you need to wipe it down or swap your marking disc, you could do that. But there are magnets that hold the marking disc in place, but one of the cool things is it's actually notched over here. So when you put it back on, it can only go on in one way. And the reason why it's notched is so that it doesn't slip. So even if you mark your marking disc, if it happens to slip or turn around, you're going to throw yourself off. So that one is notched, so it only goes back on one way, but it pulls off away from the magnet, so you can clean it out. Here you can put your crank or your whip on the corner here, so you can you know, access your follow focus from a distance, or have a second operator pull for you. So that's kind of a quick look at the follow focus. Let's throw it on here. Very easy to do. Again, it's a quick clamp system, so we don't need to remove the handles. We're just going to go right over. I'm going to tighten it down. And then over here, I'm going to adjust my follow focus to where it mates with my lens. I'm going to also slide my follow focus towards the lens so I can actually engage my lens, and then lock it down here. And we're done. So we're able to pull focus from this lens. Again, once to get it off, we just have to remove this. It comes off very quickly, so if you have to change lenses or anything, you can get the follow focus off very quickly. Or with the articulating arm here, you could just swing the follow focus away, swap out your lens, and then put everything back together. So that's a quick look at the follow focus. Another thing we're going to talk about is lens support. And here I have the 24-70 mounted on the Sony A7s body. So this is a small camera, big lens. Now, as you're pulling focus on this lens, you can get a little bit of movement here because the lens is kind of tweaking the A7s body. So there's another little accessory here, this guy from CAMETV, which is a lens support. And basically what you do, and you notice that again, it has the quick clamp feature, so it's easy to get on and off without having to pull everything apart. You would just slide this under the lens, and you want to do this where it's not interfering with your focus ring or your zoom ring. So we're just going to put it right here, and I'm going to tighten everything up. And that's it. So you'll notice that it sits right underneath the lens here. There are some wheels on each side, so it won't mar up your lens. It'll adjust smoothly. And now we have lens support here at the front. And this is universal, so whatever lens you're going to put this on, this little lens support is going to prevent your lens from shifting around, especially when you're trying to pull focus. Once again, we can get our follow focus in here by just dropping it in. This is a quick clamp system, so we could do this. I can articulate this outwards. I can also slide my lens or follow focus away from the lens. So we'll just find a good place to put this. Maybe up here. Tighten it down. And my gear is sitting on the back side here. Now that we have a longer lens, what we're going to do is we're going to reverse this gear. So we're going to pull this gear out. We're going to put it on this side because we're working with a longer lens. And now we're able to reach the focus ring of this lens over here. We would tighten this up. And then if we had our follow focus ring on here, we can extend this and lock it in place. Now, with the follow focus, you will get some lens gears. they'll basically look like this over here. So these are universal. They fit different diameter lenses. So you have a couple of different ones here. This is for the smaller diameter, and then here's when you go bigger. They are adjustable right here, so they'll get tighter, and that will allow you to put lens rings around any of your lenses, and then you can take them off when you don't need them, and then you can pull your focus here. So that's kind of a quick look at the follow focus again with the lens support, and you see how that kind of goes together without taking apart anything. We can quickly get this stuff on and off. So let me take this follow focus off, take this lens support off, and you notice I didn't have to take apart any of the handles. All right, so we're gonna take a look at some more accessories. This time it's gonna be a V-mount battery pack. Okay, so this is a V-mount power distribution adapter, I guess you could call it, that goes onto your rig. Here's your 50 mil adapter. There is an articulating arm in the middle here, so if you loosen this, you can actually adjust this to fit any way you want. So if you want to mount this upside down, right side up, you want to mount it above the rails or even below the rails, you can articulate this in any manner you want, and then you just lock it down using these knobs. So we're just going to throw this on the back here behind our 15 mil rails, and typically this is where people would place it because they want to use the battery as a counterweight because the batteries are fairly heavy. All right, as you can see, I have it mounted behind the shoulder pad here. Now again, I could articulate this, so I could drop this a little bit lower, or I could drop it or leave it higher, or leave it flat like this as well. So we have some articulation there. Now this V-mount battery adapter here has a little on-off switch at the top, so you can turn on the power. You'll notice that there are some ports here on the side. They give you 12 volt, 7.2, and 5 volt. And a 12 volt can power up your accessories like your monitors, LED lights. 7.2 typically for cameras. The A7s will get powered off 7.2, as well as the Canon, which uses LPE6. And that's interesting because they do come with this adapter. So this is an LPE6 dummy battery with the plug that can plug right into the 7.2 here and power up your Canon cameras off of a big V-mount battery, and that'll run you hours and hours and hours. They do have other cables here. Every cable is labeled to what the voltage is, but you can't really screw them up because each connection is slightly different, so you can't mix and match any of the cables. The 5 volt, 7.2, and 12 volt are all slightly different. Either the barrel is different or the tip inside is different, so you're not going to be able to mix up these cables here. They're only going to fit in one place. So the 5 volt can be used to power up portable audio recorders like your Zoom H4 that can be powered off 5 volts. So this is a quick look at the V-mount adapter that you put one brick on here and you'll be able to power your camera, your lights, your audio, and a bunch of accessories, and for hours. So that's a pretty handy little adapter that you could use if you want to build up your rig. And it also serves as a counterweight as well. Now we're going to take a look at another accessory. We're going to take a look at their MatteBox and how that kind of works. Okay, so same setup, Sony A7s. We have a Canon 2470 here, lens support, front handles, shoulder pad, 50 mil rails. Now we've added the CAMETV MatteBox. Now this one you can see has the top and side flags. There are some locks here so you can lock them down. You can also remove any of the flags if you just want to use the plastic part of this as a kind of a lens shade. Now even though it's composite in the front, there is a metal frame that kind of wraps around the entire thing. So it's pretty sturdy. The MatteBox has dual filter trays, so you can add 2 filters here. So if you want to stack filters or use 2 different filters, you can just drop them in over here. The other cool thing, unlike some of the cheaper MatteBoxes, is you have rotating trays. So if you have filters that need to be rotated, you can rotate the filters here. Now they are 2 filter trays and they are independent, so you could rotate one independent from the other. So you can basically rotate your filters differently. And then it is height adjustable. There are 2 knobs on the side here, so you can loosen these 2 knobs and then shift the MatteBox up or down if you want to center it with a lens that you have. And then if you need to service your lens, say you want to swap lenses or change something out, there's a knob up here on the right. You loosen this up and it swings away. So then you can come in here, you can service your lens, replace it, do whatever, and then you can flip this back over and then you tighten up the knob and then you can lock it back down. And then what comes with the MatteBox, you're going to get a number of different rubber gaskets here with different diameters in the middle. So you have a big one, kind of a medium, and then a smaller diameter here. Then what you could do is you add that behind the MatteBox, and so it kind of covers the gap between the MatteBox and the lens here. The reason you want to do that is so you're not getting any light coming in here if you're using filters. Now, if you're not using any filters and you just have it bare and you're just using this as a lens shade, you don't necessarily have to use donuts. It's not really going to be a problem. But when you're adding glass filters in front of your lens, sometimes a light source can come in, create a glare on your filter, and then that causes problems with the image that you're getting. So you'll also get a number of different foam gaskets. You can see different diameters here. So you can pretty much support any diameter lens that you can put into this MatteBox. And then these donuts are held in place with either the metal, or you can even try to use the rubber gaskets to hold it in place. But the foam donuts are just, again, to cover the gap between the MatteBox and the lens, primarily if you're using filters up front, preventing the glare from happening in the back. Then obviously the flags up front are going to prevent the glare on the front of the glass filters that you guys are using, or plastic filters. So anyways, that's just kind of a quick look at the MatteBox from CAMETV. You saw the follow focus, the lens support, the front handles, the shoulder pad, the V-mount battery pack. They have more accessories on their website, so check that out. But if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, hit me up at the blog cheesycam.com.